At home with the Toposa, the granaries are made so that the animals cannot reach them, and at the same time they provide some shade when the temperature reaches around 40 degrees Celsius. To escape the relentless heat, many Toposa have built their homes in the shade of riverine forests. It's mostly the women who rest in the shade of the granaries. People are aware of the camera and enjoy being filmed. Much of what we hear now are the comments of the people crowding behind the camera and looking at the monitor. This is a kitchen in the open air. This is a sleeping hut. And again, granaries on poles. Everything is built out of wood, and as termites are quite active pests, there's always something to repair or build. Building houses is exclusively the women's task. In front of the gate, there's a hand pump, a donation from the Catholic Church. Hour-long walks to fetch water have become a matter of the past for the women. The elders are resting in the shade of the riverine forest. Here there's a slight breeze, and it's bearable even with temperatures around 40 degrees Celsius. We have now seen women, children, and old men. But where are the young men? Here they are. Far away, at the foot of the hills, they tend the family herds in the dry season cattle camps. Toposa are agro-pastoralists. They rear cows and small stock, and they also grow sorghum, but their social and emotional life is centered on their animals. Some makeshift huts have been built in the riverine forest. The young men explain to us that the security situation is rather bad at the moment, as the neighboring tribe often raids them. There are few proper huts here, as sun shelters are sufficient. The young men have brought along with them their girlfriends and their young wives, together with their children. They crack open the nuts of the nayeron tree, along with milk, their staple food in the dry season. The dry season has just begun, and there is still some sorghum from the last harvest, which is ground here. Teenagers smoke already, as they do anywhere. Then the young men sing for us. Back in the village, we find something extraordinary. Astonishing is not that the man is smoking a water pipe, it's rather the way it's lit up. We last saw this way of making fire in 1983 and thought it had vanished, but it still exists. the Toposa matchbox. We're running into more surprises. In a village only a short distance off the road, there's a wedding. Toposa weddings are apparently quite different from ours, and they consist of a number of events spread out over a few years. Today is the day when the young wife moved into her husband's home. She has to stay inside her hut for a few days, but outside her door people are singing and dancing cheerfully. The bridegroom is wearing feathers, and he's dancing and running through the entire village to show his joy. The young men stage a mock attack dance showing off. The women also pose in front of the camera and show their fierceness. The next morning, the village of our friends is quite peaceful again. This is one of the giant woven baskets which will eventually become a sorghum granary after it's covered with a grass roof. As already mentioned, women no longer have to spend much of their time fetching water, and thus there's leisure for other activities like beadwork.
After marriage, but it's very different between small girls and girls who are yeah. Just like this. But for girls, you see, let's get the whole person. And it's right. Yeah, like this. Yeah.
Apropos fathers, these fierce Toposa warriors are incredibly kind to their children. This woman is binding a ring to hold together the tip of her granary. The modern world has also arrived, here in the form of a bicycle. Apropos modern world, this scrap metal is the business capital of a blacksmith close to our village. Two friends operate the bellow. This will become an axe.
It's called axe.
And this is one half of a future cowbell. Here is the finished product. Here's a last view of the beautiful riverine forest that shelters our friend's village. We shall now move to a neighbouring village where we witness ordinary village life, but also another surprise. The field researcher at work. Martina inquires about the clan markings of cattle.
Okay, arumo. 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Martina wanted to finish her inquiries, but the men insist on continuing.
Edonga. They should dance, tell them.
When they are still young.
For good reason. Sorghum grinding is shown here so often. It's the women's most frequent task. And only practicing early makes you perfect. The harvest is winnowed in the wind. And the fresh straw is fed to the calves. This is Giuseppe Lola. He's around 90 years old, and he is a deeply content and joyful person.
For this woman.
Mind you, Giuseppe is not the grandfather, he's the father. And this is his young wife. Today will be an important day in the village. The final dowry in the form of cattle will be handed over to the family of the bride. Toposa weddings are a long process that consists of several steps. The bride, seen on the left, has been living with the village head for some time, and they have a number of children already. The groom had to accumulate the necessary number of cattle. He now had enough to finalize the wedding process. The bride is putting on the adornments. Some of the things may be borrowed. The ceremony begins. The bride's relatives arrive at a leisurely pace. The first cows, calves, are herded into the homestead. The women are going to meet the cattle. Here come the animals. Most of them are not branded, so that the new owners can brand them with their own markings. There is concentrated attention in the village. Now it's getting somewhat confusing as cattle are driven back and forth for inspection and distribution. The bridegroom had hoped to get away with 55 cows, but in the end it will be 67, which he has to deliver to his various in-laws. Here they are, a new powerful network. He was well advised not to annoy them, and thus he had to give in with the amount of animals. This man is the bride's brother. He is overjoyed, as those 3 splendid black oxen will be his. Everything is settled, and people go home. They take with them the newly acquired animals. The women give a final dance performance for us and the camera.
Arumai